Nikon recently released the Z6 Mark III, a camera that's packed full of incredible features that's going to appeal to photographers and videographers alike. Some of the standout specs include a 24.5 megapixel BSI full-frame sensor, an EXPEED 7 processing engine, 6K video at up to 60p internal RAW, 4K at up to 60 frames per second, full HD at up to 240 frames per second, as well as 14 frames per second when using the mechanical shutter and 20 frames per second when using the electronic shutter. I'm sure you can agree that's a lot of frames per second, but I've come here today to Weston-super-Mare to put it through its paces. Yes, England, mid-July. Of course it's going to rain. Of course it's windy. Yes, of course. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly interject for 1 second. The wind was a constant issue when I was out filming on the beach for this particular day. The wind noise actually wasn't as bad as I was expecting it to be. However, my hair and my beard is all over the place in this video, so we're just going to have to deal with it. My manly locks refuse to be tamed. Subscribe. Now let's get back to the video. Subscribe. So it definitely appears like there's a storm coming in, which is typical. I'm going to go through some of the key features now while I can before I actually get out and use it properly. So I apologise for any wind noises going on, other than what's coming out of my mouth, of course. Now, the first thing I'll say, I've had this camera for a couple of days now, and the weight of it is absolutely perfect. It weighs 750 grams. That's with the battery and the SD card included, and I've had no problem carrying it around with me. Very ergonomic. I love the grip. Very nice to carry around. I've got this lovely 24-120mm lens with it, so we're going to get some good stuff today. This comes equipped with the world's first partially stacked sensor, and that's paired up with the EXPEED 7 processor engine, which is the same that drove the Z8 and the Z9. It's fair to say that speed is definitely a major selling point for this camera. It's capable of capturing up to 120 frames per second while shooting continuously, and it also has a pre-capture mode, so anybody who's shooting wildlife or sports is sure to capture the action. We also get 3D tracking to keep up with those fast shooting speeds, along with AI subject detection for people, animals, vehicles and planes, as well as up to 8 stops of vibration reduction to keep everything steady. Like I said, I've had this for a couple of days now, and I can attest that shooting handheld with this is no hassle whatsoever. Really is a joy to use. Another one of the selling points for this camera is it is made for hybrid shooters, and the video capabilities are certainly no slouch either. You can capture 6K RAW internally, which is going to give you a huge amount of options for cropping and grading in post. And you also have plenty of options for slow motion with the ability to shoot up to 240 frames per second in full HD. You can record 4K at up to 120 frames per second, but this will involve a crop, but it's not too bad. I have tried it out already, and it's buttery smooth. And something else that's great for videographers is the mic input. This can function as a line level input for pre-amplified professional grade sound, making it ideal for interviews and live recordings. I've already mentioned the 8 stops of vibration reduction, but this is also capable of focusing down to -10 EV. So anyone looking to shoot in low light, this has you covered. Also worth mentioning, it has an ISO range of 100 to 64,000. Other features worth mentioning include a higher resolution 5.76 million dot EVF, and I can assure you that this EVF is an absolute joy to use. It goes so bright so that you can use it in incredibly sunny conditions, which probably is not going to be something that I'm going to need today. The camera has a fully articulating 21,000K dot touchscreen and features space for both a CF Express Type B or XQD card, as well as an SD UHS-II memory card slot. So that way you can dual record for that extra peace of mind. Lastly, it is fully weather sealed and can be used in conditions down to -10 degrees, which could well be handy for today. So I think that that's covered most of the key features. Now, let's get mobile, get down the beach and see what I can capture with it before it starts raining. Get out of the office. To get myself warmed up for a day of photography/videography, I spent a little time strolling the seafront and getting some images of the old pier, while simultaneously battling the cruel winds being funneled in through the Bristol Channel. I decided to start making my way to the beach, where I knew I would be able to get some decent images of boats stranded at low tide. Okay, let's start getting a few decent shots. It's been a nightmare this first hour. Not only was this a much more pleasant location for me, but I also managed to get my first decent images of the day. This was a great way to utilise the vari-angle screen for some low-angle photography. I might have gotten something usable there. I do feel sorry for the people who were stood behind me as I was bent over there. Lord knows what view they were getting. Okay, so I got a bit out of the... managed to get a bit out of the wind again. Whoa! Oh, it's been a nightmare. Let's do this and get the hell out of here before I sink any further. Whoa! He says that again. This is stupid. We have a void. We've got a bird over here. Let's see if we can get this going at 120 frames. Oh, look at that. Shame it didn't move. I was able to find myself some moving targets soon enough, however, allowing me to test out some of the higher burst rates of the camera. The Z6 Mark III is capable of capturing RAW files at up to 14 frames per second with a mechanical shutter, or up to 20 frames per second with the electronic shutter. Getting shots of fast moving targets seemed effortless thanks to the impressive tracking capabilities as well as the 8 stops of vibration reduction. You can get even faster speeds when using lower resolution files, with up to 60 frames per second for 24 megapixel full frame JPEGs and an incredible 120 frames per second when shooting at 10 megapixel DX format JPEGs. I was very impressed at how consistent the bursts were. More often than not you will get missed frames, but not here. The camera also features a pre-release capture mode, so that I was able to capture everything at a moment's notice. Seriously impressive stuff. Contrary to what I said earlier about probably not needing a bright EVF on a day like this, it has definitely proved useful. It has gotten very bright. Yeah, it has gotten very bright and very sunny today. So this EVF has proved to be incredibly useful indeed. The EVF on the Z6 Mark III is the brightest in this class of camera, and it's proved to be incredibly useful today. I've actually been able to see better through the EVF than I have in real life today. Time to get myself onto the pier and see what we can see. Get out of this sun. It has gotten very bright despite my intro. The arcade at the end of the pier gave me a brief respite from the elements and an opportunity to test out some of the lower light capabilities of the camera. In all honesty, the light wasn't that low and didn't push the boundaries of the camera, but I was presented with an opportunity to test out some of the video capabilities of the camera, so we will cover that in this next section. Pretty much everything that you are seeing now will have been recorded in full HD at 240 frames per second, as I just got carried away with the ability to produce slow motion footage, but the camera offers far more than that. The range of frame rates available is sure to meet the needs of any videographer, with the ability to capture 6K internally at up to 60p RAW, 5.4K at up to 60p YUV, as well as 4K UHD 60p video oversampled from 6K in camera. It is also possible to capture 4K footage at up to 120 frames per second, but this does involve crop into the image. Okay, so there wasn't a great deal of stuff for low light in there, but I did manage to get some more high frame rates for video, etc. What I might do now is actually get a bit of landscape stuff, because as you can see behind me, if I'd get out of the way, it's pretty damn beautiful today. The weather has definitely taken a turn for the better, so I've got to get back to the car in a bit, but I might as well enjoy as much as I can on the way back there, get some landscape shots. Okay, let's try actually getting some nice landscape scenic stuff. Let's see what we'll do. So I'm off the beachfront at the moment. I'm heading somewhere, see if I can get some last bits of landscape shots, and also see if I can get out of the wind and actually explain what I actually thought of this camera, because I'm getting towards the end of my time with this camera now. So just try and get a few more shots and find somewhere where I can actually talk about it that's out of the wind a little bit. Beautiful place. Okay, so it looks like this place up here is actually called St. Nicholas Church. I thought this would be a good place to go. I'll get myself out the damn thing, which seems a good place as any to end this video. He says that as I'm coming up into the wind. Look at this scenery though. Wow. I really do love living in England. Whew. The Nikon Z6 Mark III is a perfect choice for videographers and wildlife photographers, but it is also a great choice for capturing landscapes. The 8 stops of vibration reduction is incredibly useful for using slower shutter speeds without the need for a tripod, but the real benefit comes from its compact size and weight. The camera body weighs in at a mere 760 grams and features an ergonomic grip that is very easy on the hand. I had been carrying the Z6 Mark III around for the best part of 6 hours at this point, and I had found it very comfortable to just walk around, observe my surroundings and capture images as and when I found them. Well, luckily I think I got some decent landscape shots there just as we were finishing off, so I think I'm going to conclude this video and I'm going to have to go back out into that wind again, I'm afraid, but it is what it is. Beautiful, beautiful day. Enjoyed this camera a lot. So I thought that this was as good a place as any to conclude this video and my time with the Z6 Mark III. I've really enjoyed this camera a lot. As you can clearly see, the weather has taken a turn for the better for once, which is a crazy thing to say in Englandshire, but the wind has been persistent right the way through. But regardless of that, the EVF on this has been of particular use today. As I said earlier, I wasn't expecting it to get as bright as it did, but it has got very bright today. There was a couple of times earlier when I was on the beach where I was really getting you know, sun blindness, so it was really good to be able to look through the EVF, crank up the brightness on there, and I had no issues with anything I was capturing. I was using the EVF for both photography and video. All the video capture that I got today was done through the EVF as well, which also gave me that extra point of contact. Not that it needed it, but that 8 stops of vibration reduction, which has been outstanding. It's been excellent. I couldn't believe how effortless it was to use this camera. It's insane. The LCD vari-angle is nothing new in terms of the vari-angle, but again, incredibly useful today. There were a couple of shots I got earlier on, real low angle shots of some boats that came in, particularly useful. But the real star of the show is the speed and the autofocus that this thing delivers. It's incredible. I was out there doing 120 frames per second continuous. I've only got an SD card in here as well. You can put an XQD or a CF Express Type B, I believe, but I've only got an SD card with me today. But even so, I didn't really have any issues with buffering too badly today. I got all the shots that I wanted. The tracking was spot on as well. You just put on the particular AI recognition. I had it in animal mode for most of it, so I was capturing birds and dogs. There was one great shot where a dog was running across the beach earlier on. It was absolutely effortless. It just locked on, followed it the entire way. I just had to press the shut button. It's incredible what this thing can do for you. Likewise, the videography side of things, effortless. I was out with it a couple of days ago using it in 4K with 120 frames per second. That does give a crop, but even so, the footage was absolutely outstanding. I've got a load of footage at full HD today at 240 frames per second. Again, had no problem locking onto the target, just tracking them along, and I got some, well, I presume I've got some pretty good footage. I've only been able to preview it through the EVF so far, but sounded like something was there then. Hybrid shooters are going to absolutely love this camera. Everything that it claims to do, it does. It does them incredibly well, incredibly effortlessly. In fact, it's kind of been a weird day because I felt like wind. It's felt like a bit of a strange day because I don't really feel like I've done a huge amount because the camera has done so much of the real work for me. The only thing I really regret is that I didn't bring any filters so I could test out the lower shutter speeds and get some you know, some slower shutter speed stuff with it, but I would have had the opportunity to do it as well with the water, but completely forgot. One of those things I didn't even think about until I was out here, so there you go. But yes, an incredible camera. I had a great time with it. For the price point, it's pretty amazing as well. I'm a Nikon user myself. I have been for many years, so I am somewhat biased, but I am very strongly considering getting one of these myself. Phenomenal camera. I don't really have anything bad to say about it. It's just a lot of fun to use, effortless to use, and gave me the results that I wanted, so pretty awesome. If you did enjoy the video, make sure that you drop a like because it really does help to boost the channel. Subscribe if you haven't already so that you don't miss out on future Clifton Cameras content, and I shall see you next time. I'm going to enjoy this spectacular view before getting back into the car. Just a shame about this big hairy thing in the way, isn't it? I was going to say something rude then, but you know, I think you understand. See you later.